Chapter 7. Hunted. April 3rd, 1992. Alien follows a glowing spell orb up the stairs into the door of apartment 232. The orb vanishes and he rings the bell. A large man in a self-made muscle shirt answers the door. The man is massive in size, towering over Alien by a good 3 inches and outweighing him by 50 or so pounds. Alien himself is a large man, and it is rare that he actually encounters someone even larger than himself. He knows that he must move quickly or this man's size may prove to be a difficulty. Alien immediately thrusts his left fist out, striking the man in the throat. The man stumbles back, completely stunned. Alien darts into the room, sweeping the door closed behind him with his right foot and then quickly sliding it back to his base to add extra force into a kick from his left leg into the man's right knee. The man tries to scream as he drops to his knees in pain, but cannot as he finds it difficult to even breathe. Alien pulls a copied page from the Book of the Black Earth and begins to read as he places the amulet against the man's chest. With each word, some unseen force grips the man tighter. Smoke rises from the man's throat, and Alien is consumed by grief. He has come to realize the smoke means that this man is not whom he is searching for, and will soon be burnt alive by the failed spell. Alien closes his eyes as he finishes reading, already turning back towards the door. The man reaches out, flames wrapping around his arms and chest as they leap from his mouth like reddish-orange serpents. Alien leaves the apartment building and sits in his car for several minutes, staring forward at nothing. He is tired of people dying because of him, but it's too late to turn back. Having already stepped across the line, he must now see it through to the end. April 4th, 1992. Lieutenant Dwayne Rollins steps over the yellow tape that stretches across the doorway in apartment 232, home of William Hagen. As he enters the apartment, his senses are overwhelmed by the powerful smell of burnt human flesh. His eyes water and he covers his mouth and nose with his right hand, fighting the urge to vomit like some rookie just moved in from traffic duty. It's much worse in person, he thinks, looking the body over from a few feet away. "Feeling shy, Detective?" An officer laughs. Lieutenant Rollins glances at the cop, reading his badge. Jenkins. "You don't seem to be bothered by the smell at all." Officer Jenkins merely shrugs with a laugh. "I was with Highway Patrol for a few years, so I saw plenty of multiple car pile-ups." "Great. The traffic cop is the one who's handling the Vic better than the homicide detective," Lieutenant Rollins thinks to himself in shame, trying to compose himself. "What's the time of death?" "About 9:45 p.m. A neighbor heard a scuffle and called us about 9:53 p.m. By the time we arrived at 10:18, the Vic was already rotisserie and no signs of the perp." "That's an awfully small window. Does the apartment building have security cameras?" "Just downstairs in the lobby. We've already pulled them and have some people reviewing them right now." "I'd like copies and photos printed of anyone coming or going between 9 p.m. and 10:18 p.m. Lieutenant Rollins writes down the basic details of the victim. He was a large man, 6'6", 280 pounds. Whoever the perp is, he must be a hell of a badass to take Hagen down without so much as a scratch. There's no blood anywhere. Hagen was single and unemployed. Normally the main suspect in a homicide like this would be people who owed money or jealous ex-girlfriends / angry husbands. But the MO of the crime is the same as all the others. We've kept a tight lid on these murders from the press, so there's no way it's a copycat. I'm 100% sure our suspect is the same in all 6 of these deaths. So why is it that nothing seems to be linking them together except for the fact that they're all males and in peak physical condition? "Our guy in the cameras just printed this out," Jenkins says, walking over with a piece of printed computer paper with a blurry photo on it. Lieutenant Rollins takes the paper and looks it over. A large man, about 6'3", and 220 to 230 pounds, dressed in a black jacket and blue jeans, enters the lobby at 9:48 p.m. and exited in a hurry at 9:56 p.m. "This gentleman is our suspect. We need to spread this photo around to surrounding counties and to the Highway Patrol. The identification and finding this man is top priority. He is extremely dangerous and has killed at least 6 men, all of whom were in top physical condition," Lieutenant Rollins announces, holding the photo up high. 9800 BC. The rogue Yazatus Cedrion watches the city of Arcanus burn down at the hands of the Potestas. 2 massive black forms stand over the city, only their torsos down are visible beneath the clouds. "You should be burning with them," a voice says from behind. Cedrion slides his hand to his sword before turning around, but 2 other blades press against his neck from each side. "Captain Cedrion of the 8th Choir, you are under arrest for the murders of 18 of your brethren and the robbery of the heirloom archives. You have done the unforgivable and given a human access to our most intimate and dangerous texts. For these things your death sentence has been issued," says a tall seraphim, wearing a golden headband which separates his white blonde hair into 2 long braids that reach his waist. A 6-winged bird, adorned upon the shining armor of the seraphim warrior, marks his belonging to the 6th Choir. A red sash around his arm indicates he shares the same official ranking as Cedrion, as captain. Cedrion glances to his sides, noting that in addition to the captain and the 2 seraphim at his sides, 3 others stand back in observance, ready to intervene if needed. "Captain Jedquil, is all this truly necessary from me?" Cedrion asks. "Where is the book of the Black Earth?" "I lost it," Cedrion replies with a shrug. "The Potestas make it difficult to concentrate." "Kill him," Jedquil says. "We shall search the ruins once the Potestas have withdrawn." The 3 seraphim, observing the arrest, drop to the ground, their heads separated from them. Bright light erupts from their bodies, and their forms become nothing but shadows burned into the dirt. Cedrion rises, drawing his sword and knocking the seraphim to his right arm upwards and pivoting with a quick slash to the other's throat. A sword emerges from the seraphim to the right's chest. "I was beginning to think that you'd left me to be executed," Cedrion says, thrusting his sword downwards into the skull of the left seraphim to finish him off. "I had other matters to attend to," says his subordinate Gadriel, also of the 8th Choir. Jedquil draws his sword and attempts to get behind his opponent, using Shinkan Ito and deliver the Olum Neden, finishing maneuver. Cedrion and Gadriel both turn at the same time, bringing their swords down across Jedquil's shoulders. He drops to his knees as blood steadily sprays upwards from his wounds. "They should have sent a general to kill me," Cedrion says, severing Jedquil's head. "I am insulted." April 5th, 1992. Elian Schaefer stands at his sink, washing the plate and silverware accumulated from his dinner when he feels a cold breeze briefly moving across his back. He pauses, setting the plate he is holding back down into the soapy water, and grabs a towel to dry his hands without turning around. "It took them long enough," Elian whispers. 2 men in open cloaks draped over black vests and pants stand in Elian's kitchen. One of the men's cloak is white, indicating his rank as a Knight of Solomon. Having peppered black hair and a small mustache, he stands beside a younger man also wearing a white cloak. "You should know that they keep tabs on all former students," the older man named Paz Salah says. "If they are that worried of misuse, why allow students to drop out at all?" Elian asks, turning around. "If you create a monster, how can you be surprised when it attacks the public?" "No one created you, Elian. You made your own choices. It is no one's fault but your own that you could not handle the more complicated curricula." Paz continues. "Why did you wait so long to approach me? Surely you're aware of how many men I've allowed to die," Elian whispers, his voice instantly becoming cold and distant. "Allowed to die? You killed them. You have violated our laws by using magic outside of the city. By order of the Knights of Solomon and Captain Akanzi Erisai, Elian Schaefer, former apprentice to Torres Forgeron, you are hereby under arrest." Elian slowly raises his arms in submission as the other magician, Adam Yarden, removes a set of strangely glowing handcuffs. The handcuffs are designed not only to restrict movement of the restrained's hands, but also contains a powerful spell that prevents one from using any kind of magic. Adam passes the handcuffs over to Paz, who is more experienced than him. As Paz moves to put the handcuffs around him, Elian quickly sweeps the man's legs. As he falls, Elian steps in and delivers a solid body punch to the chest that causes him to hit the back of his head on the refrigerator as he falls. Adam throws a left hook at Elian, but he ducks and delivers an uppercut to his ribs. Adam drops to a knee, blood drooling from his mouth. Elian pivots, throwing his weight into a right jab to the man's face. "And Deligon will send more magicians to apprehend me. I need them to lose my scent somehow," Elian thinks. Using that spell from the Book of the Black Earth acted like a homing beacon for the Knights. Now that they know I've been using magic illegally, nothing will stop them from hunting me down. pause begins to stir, and Elian quickly moves to his side and crouches, striking him in the chest. The sudden, powerful force stops the man's heart. Elian moves over to Adam and puts him in a headlock before twisting his entire body to the side, breaking his neck. Tossing the limp body back to the floor, he stands up in a deep breath and trying to assess his situation. I'm going to have to find some kind of way to mask myself from their detection. They already know where I live, and likely where I work as well. I'll have to move and start anew, go somewhere secluded enough that I can hide while still continuing my efforts to locate the vessel-ready human destined to become the host for Lord Yamura. City of Katja, 9500 BC. Cedrion and Gadriel walk down the stone streets of the city, observing its unique styles of art and architecture. All of the writing in the city is done in a pictograph form, and the walls of every building are decorated with elaborate murals, detailing hundreds of different stories. Amazing how vastly different human cultures can be, Cedrion says. As much as Arcanus revolved around intellect and written language, this one consists only of art. Do not become attached, Captain, Gadriel says. Our goal remains the same. Once human cultures increase to a size where they become unmanageable and threaten chaos, we give them the knowledge with which they destroy themselves. Cedrion glances down at the Book of the Black Earth tucked under his arm. This city is led by a group of 5 elders called the Dumbara. They rule together on important issues. I believe that we should speak with them first, Gadriel says. Will they understand us? These drawings are unlike Yazatan. Perhaps their speech is unrecognizable as well. There are some truths which are universal. We shall enlighten them. Cedrion nods, always trusting the counsel of his longest and most trusted friend. Hya, Flar! A voice shouts from behind. A ring of mystical flames encircle the Yazata, preventing them from proceeding further into the city. General Remiel, Cedrion says, sensing the presence of the Seraphim and drawing his sword. Run out of subordinates for me to kill? Silence your tongue, vile traitor, Remiel growls, drawing his own sword. The Seraphim is more muscular than the other two, and his hair is a shade darker, appearing almost brown. A long scar runs diagonally across his face from a wound suffered long ago in the First War of Falling. The 6-winged bird of the 6th choir adorns his armor. Cedrion cuts his sword through the flames, dispersing them. How are you able to dispel a barrier issued by a general-level officer? Remiel asks, unable to hide his surprise. I have powerful allies, Cedrion says, his blade turning black. Ones that have equipped me to deal with any seraphim that stands in my way. Remiel's aura erupts outward as he unfolds 2 wings of white gold energy from his back. Gadriel sweats, dropping to a knee. This is the power of a general? Gadriel whispers. If it is too much for you, I shall handle him by myself, Cedrion says, stepping in front of his friend and shielding him from the brunt of Remiel's force. No, Gadriel says, straightening himself up and drawing his own sword. I shall fight by your side, as I have always. Remiel's sword glows brightly as he slashes it horizontally, sending a wave of energy outwards. The energy slams into their swords, pushing them backwards. Remiel instantly teleports with Shukan behind them and unleashes a second wave into their backs. A massive explosion radiates out, leveling all of the nearby buildings. Remiel teleports steps to a safe distance and closes his eyes, searching for his opponents. His eyes snap open and he moves his sword back over his head to defend as Cedrion teleports steps behind him and attacks with a slash. As their swords collide, the force of Remiel's swing knocks Cedrion backwards into a flip. You are much too strong for a captain, Remiel says, turning to face him. You were holding back for the entirety of your career under General Rafstiel, were you not? Generals are under a much higher level of scrutiny. As a captain, I had the freedom to come and go unnoticed many times. Where were you going? Remiel asks, tightening his grip on his sword as he becomes nervous. Cedrion smiles, snapping his fingers and tearing open a fissure in the dimensional plane. Across the fissure, Remiel can make out the outline of a large Sakari army. They are prepared for war. Are you? Cedrion grins.